Yo, this is Bench Gamer here. So if you're watching this video, I'm just going to assume that you already know the entire situation surrounding the FTC Trade Commission, the Federal Trade Commission of America, suing or fining Hoyoverse for $20 million because Genshin Impact has been unfairly targeting kids with gambling, gacha mechanics, loot box mechanics, that sort of stuff. And yeah, they've written a FTC Commission report where they have listed a bunch of things that Hoyoverse needs to do to make Genshin Impact more in line with their guidelines. For example, you can't buy crystals and then convert them into wishes. That's obfuscating what you're doing with your money. You should have the ability to just buy characters if you want to. Um, yeah, and they have to increase the age rating from 12 plus to 16 plus. I don't know how they're going to actually enforce that. They're probably not. So it's kind of a nothing burger. I agree with all the things that they have listed in the report, by the way, that Hoyoverse needs to do. I think it's a net benefit for gamers. I think it's a net benefit for children. I think it just makes the game better in general and less predatory, which, let's be honest, Genshin Impact is. So I have nothing against those things. There are some things in the report itself that kind of feel like it was written by boomers who don't play video games. For example, they listed the Wind Trace event, which is basically just hide and go seek, as an event, a gameplay mode that is targeting kids, and the fact that there are child characters, for example, Klee, Diona, that sort of thing, that are marketed towards kids. I don't think that is actually the case, but I'm not going to go too deep into that. In fact, I'm not going to go too deep into the FTC report itself. There are other videos that you can watch that go for much more in depth about all that sort of stuff. No, what I want to talk about is basically the elephant in the room, right? What are you seeing here? This is a thumbnail of a video I made almost 2 years ago now, right? This is a thumbnail that I made 2 years ago for a video back in 2023, March 29, when TikTok legislation, the legislation to ban TikTok was first introduced, and I connected the dots and I thought, wait a second, if they're willing to ban TikTok for things that, basically all the other social media companies have done and are continuing to do, and they basically just don't want TikTok to compete with them, then what does that mean for things that are also, in the same category as being made in China, essentially? And I put two and two together, I connected the dots, and I thought, wait a second, what if Genshin Impact could also be banned? And at that time, I'm guessing that a lot of people probably thought it was kind of insane that I was saying that kind of stuff. A lot of people actually agreed with me, and they also saw the dots connecting. But I think it's much more apparent now that TikTok has been banned, and there are a lot of other casualties in the TikTok game. For example, Marvel Snap has also been banned. Because it is under a subsidiary. It is published by Newverse, which is owned by ByteDance, and that has also been banned. There are also a couple of other smaller gacha games that have also been banned along with ByteDance. So it's become a lot more real. And let's be honest, even though Genshin Impact is a predatory game, it is marketing itself towards kids. It is not the only one. It is not even the worst one by a long shot. There is Valve, there's CSGO, and there's EA Sports games. EA Sports FC is basically just a card pack simulator at some point. Those are all games that, in some way target kids, and they all have gambling mechanics associated with them. CoffeeZilla just made a video that has like 4 million views now, just listing all the things that Valve has lied about in regards to the gambling mechanics that is on their platform. So a lot of other people have also pointed this out, right? Like Mr. Pokey, another content creator in the gacha sphere. Ironic, Genshin got FTC's attention before an unregulated casino where kids can literally gamble their lives away. And yeah, I don't know too much about the gambling mechanics of like CSGO loot boxes, but I also engaged in it when I was playing CSGO. I spent like hundreds of hours in that game and basically paid my way into like one or two full price games with just CSGO items. So I understand that you can buy and sell and just earn loot boxes. So that is a thing on Valve. That was also a thing for Dota, I believe. I also played a lot of Dota and sold Dota items. So yeah, and Island XD is also pointing out Pokemon TCG is worse, as are all trading card games. Let's be honest, trading card games was one of the earliest forms of loot boxes. Booster packs are loot boxes. I know that there is an argument that gacha games are not loot box games, but I think it's pretty ridiculous. I think I saw one or two people on Twitter stating that gacha games were not loot box mechanics. Because gacha games had pity, but that's actually a relatively recent thing. That's actually one of the things that Genshin Impact pioneered on and made the gacha mechanics less obfuscated, to be honest, which is rather ironic because now Genshin Impact is also being penalized for the less predatory gacha mechanics that it introduced. And it just feels like Genshin Impact is being penalized for two reasons. One, because it is the largest gacha game, and two, because it is a game made in China. So Pokemon TCG is apparently worse. I don't actually play Pokemon TCG. Oh my god, my camera is fucking up. So the point is that Genshin Impact is not the worst of the predatory games that are marketed towards kids with loot box mechanics. And two, it is probably not even the worst gacha game. It is merely the largest. So if you were to take this in the most generous sense, you could probably say that they're doing this to send a message to all the gacha games. But TikTok has been banned, and this other social media platforms have not changed for the better, I don't think. There is no sign that they are going to become less toxic, that they are going to stop collecting your data. TikTok has basically been banned because it is made in China, and they are impinging on the market space of Zuckerberg's Meta platforms, Instagram and Facebook. It is impinging on Elon Musk's Twitter, or X as it is called now. So it just feels like if that can happen to TikTok, why couldn't it happen to Genshin Impact? And yeah, there's some other stuff. As much as I hate to defend Hoyo for their monetization, but this reeks of pure xenophobia. You still have not charged EA for the similar causes. Again, EA Sports FC is rated E for everyone. It is rated E, I think it's like PEGI 3+. So if you're 4 years old, you can probably play EA Sports FC and engage some small-time gambling if that's what you are into. As a 5-year-old, Genshin's monetization already states the rate, and the chances you're gambling where there is nothing hidden. Now, I do think that there is merit to some of the things that the FTC report has said, because there is a sign on the banner that says probability rate up, right smack dab in, I think, the front center part of it. It's like in the top left position, and that is not entirely true unless you believe that a 0% increase. An increase from 0% to like 0.8% is a probability rate up. Then that does make sense, that is true. But for the limited banners, it is literally impossible to get the characters outside of the limited banner. So it's kind of like, is it really true that there is a rate up if the rate was 0% to begin with? It just feels a bit disingenuous. So I do agree with some of the things that FTC report has said, and a lot of other content creators have also stated that it does make sense that they should implement this across all of the gacha industry and the loot box gacha games in general and the entire gaming industry. The thing that everybody has skepticism of is this actually going to happen? That is the elephant in the room. Is this going to happen for the entire gaming industry? Is Valve, is EA, is Ubisoft, are all of those companies going to be facing the same charges against them for their loot box mechanics that are frankly even worse than Genshin and gacha games in general? Or is this just going to be Chinese games, right? Again, this is a Genshin hater here. I bookmarked them for this reason. They say the FTC is focusing on the wrong problem here. The truth is Genshin Impact deceived children's teens and other players into playing Genshin Impact. That is the problem. So this guy is a Genshin hater, and a self-admitted Genshin hater. Honestly, the double standard is crazy. Even as a Genshin hater, I don't think they should be penalized when other US companies are doing gacha too. It's like how Balatro got it with an M rating by PEGI for gambling when other games with loot boxes are not held to that same standard. So it just feels really blatant here if you're looking at the TikTok ban, if you're looking at some of other indie games that have been hit with PEGI ratings that should not really be a thing, especially when loot box game, for example, EA Sports FC is rated E for everyone and PEGI 3+. That shit is unreal. They have blatant gambling. Games like Roblox have like entire marketplaces where you can hire children to create content for you and literally do child labor and profit off of it. It's insane. All of these games have gone by without any trouble. And now that you have a TikTok ban that is not just a TikTok ban, it's also a ByteDance ban. And ByteDance owns a lot of shit. It's not just TikTok. They also own, as a subsidiary, Marvel Snap. It is published by Newverse in America, and Newverse is owned by ByteDance. So you're starting to see these casualties appear from banning the most popular things that are coming from China. And it used to be that when I first made this video, right, back in 2023, I thought, well, a lot of people are not going to believe this, a lot of people are not going to care, because there weren't a lot of games that were directly made by China. Sure, China owned a lot of games through subsidiaries like League of Legends, created by Riot Games. They used to own a lot of, or they still continue to own a lot of games made by companies outside of China. For example, Gearbox Games makes Path of Exile. But now a lot of games are not only popular, but they're also just directly made by, Chinese people in Chinese companies in China. Super popular games that are on the top directory of Twitch, like Marvel Rivals, are just made by Chinese people in China. Games like Zenless Zone Zero, Wuthering Waves, Honkai Star Rail are all made in China. So, like, what is the end game here? What is going to go on? When is this going to either stop, or what is the full completion of this ban of all things that are popular that are frankly Chinese? When is it gonna stop, or is it ever going to stop, or are we never going to stop until all these Chinesey things are completely ejected from America? That is what I'm asking here. Is anybody like, should I be making accounts for EU on games I like instead of America? Is what I'm asking. Maybe these are things that you should start questioning yourself if you think that this ban is just going to affect TikTok, because it's not just going to affect TikTok. It's going to affect all things that are popular that are made in China. And that's a lot of shit. That's a lot of shit. Especially now that games like Black Myth Wukong, Marvel Rivals, and all the other gacha games, of course, are just made in China instead of being owned by China. It's not going to be as easy to separate them in the future. So this is Bench Gamer signing out. It might seem like I used to wonder if I was just being crazy, or like it might sound like I'm being hysterical. When I made this video 2 years ago, I just thought I sound like a hysterical person. Of course they're going to ban TikTok. It's for data collection. It's to spy on you. This could never happen to Genshin Impact, which has kernel level access to your computer. I don't even know what that means, but apparently a lot of people made a big fuss about it all those years ago. And I'm like, well, if that's on the same level as data collection, well, they could just ban Genshin Impact. It's not that far out there. If Hoyoverse doesn't comply with the rules that the FTC has made for them, or if they don't sell themselves to an American company in the future, maybe they could just get banned. I don't think it's that out there at this point. Anyways, this is Bench Gamer signing out, and I'll see you guys later.